passionate instigator, and dynamic problem solver. Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, and welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes. This is the first Thursday of April, and it is where I am in the world, we are in the middle of April showers. And I think that a lot of the world is feeling like there's a lot of April showers with everything going on in the world today. As often happens, or as usually happens on the first Thursday of the month, I have none other than Matt Connarton from Matt Connarton Unleashed, whose drive time show goes from 4 to 6 Monday through Friday on WMNH 95.3, and you can go to IPMNation.com and listen to it live during that, again, 4 to 6 Eastern Standard Time, and then you can, and right through the internet, right through your computer, you can ask questions, or you can call in and you can harass him. But right now, he's ours to harass for the next hour. And do not forget that this is a live call-in show. So you can call in at 202-570-7057. Again, that's 202-570-7057. And Matt, welcome. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm okay. I'm, so far so good.
Good. Has the current health crisis that's shutting down the nation, I'm hoping that you and Jenny are avoiding any exposures to it and are both, well, with Jenny's already compromised issues, that you're both keeping safe and well.
Yeah, she's staying home. I have to venture out into the world a bit, but, I try to be very, very smart and careful about it. Lots of hand washing. Hand washing. My hands are very, very dry and cracked, but it's what we got to do.
Yep. Well, I have a big bottle of hydrating lotion that sits right on my desk, and I am using it on a regular basis. But the COVID-19, the coronavirus, has shut down a lot of things, but the one thing it hasn't shut down is the politics of this country. It continues to go on and on and on. And as always, this is our favorite topic on the first Thursday of the month. I'll get it right. Really, I will. Is to get your take on what's going on in the political landscape, plus anything else that you would like to talk about. But definitely, what have been the top conversations on Matt Connarton Unleashed lately?
Well, so we're in kind of a unique position with the show because, unfortunately, WMNH 95.3, which is where I broadcast from, they have they made the decision to suspend live programming during the stay-at-home order here in New Hampshire. So what's been happening is I'm recording the show from my studio at home and sending it to the station, and they're running it from 4 to 6. So I don't have any, so I'm not currently taking any calls on the show because it's not live, it's pre-recorded. So we did a pre-recorded show Monday and Tuesday, and then I produced a couple of new best of episodes, one that ran yesterday and one that ran today, because I do enjoy putting those together, the best ofs, and we might do a third best of tomorrow, or I might record a show. We'll see. But so just kind of taking it day by day with that, so that there's still new or somewhat new content. But I'm not actually there live at the studio, unfortunately, during the stay-at-home order. I thought we were going to skate by on that one because, broadcasters are usually considered essential personnel, but the station manager was advised by the lawyers that it would be better to just send us all home. I guess if you're a salaried employee, you can be in the building, but I'm an independent contractor. So even though I'm paid to do my show, I'm not actually an employee of Manchester Public Television, which owns WMNH. So, and neither are most of the other hosts. So, so they told us to stay home. So, but part of the reason I'm doing the best ofs is because not only do I enjoy putting those together, but but you know, the coronavirus is completely it's kind of swallowed up everything else. And I really can't spend 2 hours a day just talking about that. You know what I mean? Did it for a couple days, and then I said, you know what? I think I'll make a couple of new best ofs to kind of break this up a little bit. You know what I mean? But so that's kind of where we're at with the show. So yeah.
Well, I want to give I'm going to give some tips to my audience today by giving some tips to you during all of this and kind of how we're dealing with it here at the Emery Bed and Breakfast, as I like to call it sometimes. But it is a very interesting, there are some very interesting battles that are going on, and maybe depending on how things fold out, if you have a day next week where you're going to be doing a pre-recording and we can coordinate a time that works in my schedule, I'll call in and you can kick some stuff around for your pre-recording.
Oh, that would be great. We can definitely do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You and I always find a few things to talk about.
Yes.
Out there. So I am going to, before the show is over, I'm going to be sharing some stuff that I'm doing and some stuff that I'm recommending to my clients, and that, the ways that we're dealing, and again, in this household, with the whole issue. And therefore, hopefully get some, good solid advice and thoughts out to people. But I do want to poke at the political landscape. So Mitch McConnell is blaming the impeachment, that's why Trump and the Senate didn't do anything about coronavirus because the Dems were distracting them. That's been his latest statement I've heard. Hannity says that he's been completely blunt and honest all along, and he never played down anything as he's coming under attack, and people are calling that he should be fired. And of course, a lot of people are saying that Trump has blood on his hands because our government was notified on December 31st, 2019, that this pandemic was getting ready to happen. And we didn't do really jack of anything until the middle of March.
Right.
The middle of March. And so, we ended up 2.5 months behind the curve, which is going to exponentially increase the number of cases that are caught and the number of deaths that happen. I mean, it's just a math. I mean, we've already gotten 26,000 new cases, which, and today, I mean, in the last 18 hours, there's been 25,000 new cases, and, we're getting ready to break 6,000 deaths. And so, and yet people are still minimizing it. But how do you think, and the Dems have postponed their caucus and their primary, who we're going to put up to run against Trump, to August.
The convention. Yeah.
Convention. Yeah, I knew. There was a word there somewhere. It was rolling around in my mouth. So what's that? So talk to me about the political landscape, Matthew. This is your area of specialty.
Well, I mean, the coronavirus has kind of swallowed up everything, including our presumptive Democratic nominee, Joe Biden. I mean, politically, this is terrible for him. I mean, he, where is he? And by the way, in fairness to him, and I don't mean where is he as in he's not making an effort to be visible. I mean, he can't be out there doing campaign rallies. And he did, he kind of went dark for a couple weeks, and then And the reason we were given was they were building a makeshift television studio thing, a room in the basement of his house, so that he could kind of beam in on these different shows and appear that way on these different news shows. But then when he does, I don't know if you've seen any of his appearances on these shows, but he doesn't have anything to offer. Biden, when we do see him, he just comes across as an empty suit. He forgets what he's talking about in the middle of a sentence. There was this awful moment where he was. This was not on a cable news show, but it was something that his campaign was streaming on either on YouTube or Facebook. I'm not sure where he's basically at a podium in his basement giving a speech, and he lost his place, on the teleprompter and whatnot. And it's just, the guy inspires zero confidence. And, as far as non-health related casualties in this whole thing, I think Joe Biden is probably at the top of the list. I mean, as badly as Trump mishandled everything at the beginning by just kind of blowing it off, saying it'll just wash through, to use his exact words and whatnot, as awful as Trump's handling was of this initially, and in some ways going forward even, Biden, when he does talk about what he would do, he sounds like he's talking about the same things Trump is already doing. He's got nothing to offer. And Trump might actually be, and I don't like Trump and I want him gone, so I take no joy in saying this, but Trump might actually be, because of this extenuating circumstance, the first sitting president in modern American history to have the economy completely tank, and he won't get blamed for it. Because usually it doesn't matter how popular you are, how high your approval ratings are. If the economy goes south, you're done. That's what happened to George H.W. Bush. He had a 90% approval rating after the first Gulf War, and he appeared to be unbeatable. And then the economy fell off a cliff, and Bill Clinton became our next president. Trump might actually be the first president to have the economy totally tank and not get blamed for it. And by the way, technically, in this instance, it would be unfair to put all the blame on him. Meanwhile, Biden has been completely swallowed up by this whole thing. So Trump might be, I've been predicting he would win a second term anyway. Again, I take no joy in saying that, but now I really think it's more likely than ever. Even if Trump completely mishandles every aspect of this going forward, he's not going to get blamed for the economy. And Biden, it seems useless. So, I don't know. It's such a strange thing that we're living through. And politically, it's really turned everything upside down. And by the way, I know there's polls that show Biden still ahead, but that's not going to last. Not with these disastrous cable news appearances he's doing. So.
Well, I've only got 3 words to say about that. You want to know what they are?
I do.
Any guesses?
Wait and see.
Pete.
Oh, you want what? You want him to pick Pete for his VP?
No.
Oh.
I'd like to see him still get the nomination to run for president.
I'm afraid that option has been taken off the table, Dr. Kevin. I don't think that's.
August is a long way away.
Well, if it's not Biden, it's going to be Bernie.
Well, what happens if Biden and Bernie don't survive?
Oh, well, that got dark. My goodness. Well, then.
Let's face it. They're both right in the target group for this, not surviving very well. I mean, I'm not wishing anything on either one of them. Do not get me wrong.
No, but they are right. But you're suggesting they are as good as dead, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I would not see either one of those. With Bernie's latest health issue and then Biden's considerably, what I would say is, a somewhat frail health, and at his age, that, we could end up having to look for a new candidate by August.
Right. Just to be clear, you're not wishing that on anybody. You're just saying that most likely, the odds are high they'll both be dead soon. This is what you're saying.
Odds are high. I'm saying that the potential is there.
Right. All right. Dr. Kevin, I got a shovel in the back of my Jeep. We could, if you want, we could start digging their graves.
No. I think if you give them enough time, they may just dig their own graves.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, yes, Trump can't be held completely responsible for tanking this economy, but his inaction is going to make the economy tank more than it needed to.
Oh, absolutely.
There's going to be more cases. There's going to be more deaths. And I don't think they'll stop fumbling the ball out of the White House. And I think, that, I don't know. I don't know that he's going to, I don't think it's as a sure thing that he's going to get reelected as it was before March. I think that this could still end up being a huge stumbling block. And I think it depends on how, and it should be. And I think it depends on how this goes. I mean, right now we're seeing key areas, we're seeing places, California is starting to come up. New York is obviously still at the height, and you're having other places, but you're starting to see some major infiltration into more of the red states and more of the middle of the country, and some people may not be quite as forgiving or as mesmerizing when, somebody they know and loves dies because the government couldn't get them their medical ventilator supplies.
Right.
I don't know. It's a crap shop. And we'll be right back and continue to shoot crap here on the Dr. Kevin Show.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from New Thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes. As always, the first Thursday of the month is the time when I get to hang out with my good friend, Matt Connarton. Oh, did I say that out loud? I hate it when I do
Yes.
that. Oh, I suppose you're a good friend. Are you a good friend, Matt?
I think I'm a great friend.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna, do anything to get rid of your delusions.
I mean, I don't even criticize you when you say these terrible things about Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. So I think that's a great friend.
So first of all, I do want to make it very clear that I'm not wishing anybody to die, but I do think that the landscape is going to be changing in ways that we cannot even begin to think of. And I think that we are far from over with this. I would not bet the farm that Trump is going to get reelected through all of this. I think that there's still a lot of stuff that's coming out. I mean, we do know that China's lying about the numbers. We know Russia's lying about the numbers. And we know that North Korea, well, it doesn't even know that it's lying about the numbers, but it's lying about the numbers.
Right.
But however you look at it, we're not looking pretty because we really dropped the ball on this. And there's no way that that's not going to get hammered and hammered and hammered. And there's no way that people's lives aren't going to be touched in a way that makes them question the competency of this president. And this is a highly stressful time. And, I just think that this is going to be a wear and tear on a lot of situations. And I think that we could have a surprise. I think that there still could be a surprise in August. And I think that we could still look at that a lot of things are going to shift over in November. And of course, we know that if elections don't happen, that on January 20th, Pelosi becomes president. So, because that's how the Constitution's written. So, from that standpoint, it's not like we don't have our possibilities. And, people are talking about on social media, well, post positive things. What do you get out of, still trying to make, point out that, take a swing at the president or, making it, about where he dropped the ball and he's making up for that now. And no, he's not. He's not making up for it now. And the fact that he's making his daily briefings, and I love the fact that more places are cutting out and only cutting into his daily briefing when the actual people that know what they're talking about come on. And they won't even give him the time of day to be on the briefing. And I think that every news outlet should do that, except Fox, because Fox deserves to be stuck with having to listen to him. But there's a lot of upheaval left to come, and I think there's a lot of unknowns. And when people say, when I post things, and I posted something today, which was an interview with a doctor about this, who said, no, we blew it, we sat on it. South Korea, they immediately did the right thing. How can South Korea get more tests to its people than we can?
Yeah, South Korea did very well. They did very well. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's because, and we got diagnosed with a case of coronavirus on the same day. Look at them, look at us. What's the difference? And so when I put these things out, and people say, oh, let it go, leave it alone, or this is not what we need. No, it's what we need right now. Remember the people who died that might not have died when it's time to vote in November. And I will be carrying the biggest sign I can find to say just that. And I will not be carrying those signs alone.
Yeah, agreed. The only thing about South Korea, though, is culturally, it's a little different there. Like, they're much more, I don't know if deferential is the right word, to the government, but they were able to do things that we probably wouldn't go for here, you know, in terms of when someone was found to have coronavirus and then, you know, the government comes in and forces that individual to quarantine, and then they do the contact tracing, and you know, the individual who's quarantined isn't allowed to, you know, they have to wear an ankle bracelet, and they're not allowed to you know, leave their home or even venture very far outside. And if they're caught doing that, then the ankle bracelet goes off and the authorities come and, you know, lock them up somewhere or something. Like South Korea was able to go, I mean, it's not North Korea, not to be confused with North Korea, but South Korea, you know, they're pretty, I mean, they're, compared to what we have, their government, I think, is in some ways could be described as oppressive. And I can't quite find the exact word that I'm looking for. It'll come to me. But because oppressive isn't the right word either. But they were able to do things that we just wouldn't be able to do here. And I'm not making excuses, because I agree with you that this was mishandled at the beginning and in some ways has continued to be. I don't dispute any of that. But South Korea was able to, in fairness, they were able to do some things that we would not be able to do here. People would be howling about this and that being unconstitutional if we did some of the things that South Korea was able to implement.
No doubt. And I do not disagree with you at all. I do think, however, if we had been as getting aggressively prepared as they were.
Yes.
And getting it out there and not giving 3 months, 2.5 months. Well, really, we were told December 31st, 2019 it was coming. That's when we were told it was coming.
Yeah.
But if you know, on January 2nd, there would have been, okay, it's time to put the pandemic team back together. Okay, what do we need? Let's get a bunch of people over here, and let's start planning and, you know, and get ready. We would be in such a much better position now.
Oh, absolutely.
And it would have saved lives.
Yes. I think, I think Trump figured that. I think Trump figured that because we were moving into spring, I think he very naively and stupidly thought, oh, well, it's just like the flu. It's just going to kind of go away. As cold and flu season winds down, this problem will take care of itself. And clearly he was wrong. And then, of course, too, you know, everybody who follows him just, you know, if Trump says, oh, it's a Democratic hoax, then they all go, oh, yeah, of course. Actually, Trish, if I've got her name right, Trish Regan from Fox News Business, she actually got fired because even after the other jackasses there, like Hannity, finally backed off on calling it a Democratic hoax, she continued to push that, and they actually fired her over it. Or maybe they just suspended her, but I think they gave her the boot, which is good. Too little, too late. Hannity should have been fired. I mean, that kind of thing endangers lives when you put that out there, and then you got a bunch of idiots who believe it. And there's still people who believe it, and they're threatening now. Did you see this? Dr. Fauci, they had to hire security for Dr. Fauci because some of these idiots are angry at him because they think that he's part of the conspiracy. I mean, it's all a conspiracy to bring down Trump. These people are nuts.
Yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. And what is it? So I heard about the whole security for Dr. Fauci, like it's his fault that they elected an idiot to office. But look at what happened. Was it at Liberty University? Oh, we'll be fine, and I'm calling the students back, and all the Jerry Falwell Jr. crap, and then a whole bunch of them got COVID, and they went running for the hills. And and these I'm sorry, nutcase preachers. Oh, this is God's house. You can't catch COVID here. We're God's hospital. I mean, really. But there are still people out there that are up in Maine. I don't know whether you heard this or not, but in an island in Maine, these 3 young men that have been working there for months in New Jersey, that were from New Jersey, and they had a New Jersey license plate on their car. But they've been up in Maine working construction for months, like before any of this broke out. Well, it suddenly registered to one of the locals that there was a New Jersey car parked at one of these houses on their island. And they cut down a tree, and they blocked their driveway, and they interfered with their phone and their internet, and they had to call the police, and they had to be rescued from a town mob.
Wow, really?
Because they were trying to, they didn't want them bringing that COVID here. And I'm just like, oh, what is that mentality? But we look at things like gun stores are essential. Since when have gun stores been an essential service? Well, they are now.
Right? Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. It's not my hill to die on personally. Like I don't mind, I don't mind them being considered essential. I'm not upset about it. It's fine. People, because if you close the gun stores, then you got all these people getting angry about, I think it would create a larger problem than it would solve. Let me put it that way. If you didn't leave the gun stores alone, because then people get, they're getting ready to take away our guns. That's why they're closing them. You know what I mean? I'm fine with the gun stores being open. It's less headaches for those of us who are reasonable than to have to listen to all the nuts going, they're going to take away our guns. This is the first step.
Yeah, but
it's fine.
You heard about the guy who shot up the other guy's car because that guy was trying to hit him with his car because they were arguing about the fact that he didn't cover his mouth when he coughed.
No, I didn't hear about that. I missed that. Where was that? Do you know?
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I mean, some crazy things. And the fact that ammunition sales have gone up and gun sales have gone up, and they're like, not everybody. I know people that own guns, and I'm not I think people should be allowed to own guns in a reasonable way, but this is just crazy. And there's going to be this increased violence. And, you say keeping the gun stores open, sounds like may not inflame some of the people that are likely to get violent, but I'm saying it's also an awful lot of easy access that I don't think that some of these nutcases should have. But you still have people, and I still see them. I still see them on the internet. I still, hear them or hear about them, different things that are still trying out some of the crazy things that Trump said and still says.
Yeah.
I mean, this man should be arrested for whatever it is they arrest you for when you yell fire in the theater and there isn't a fire.
Yeah, public endangerment. Yeah.
Public endangerment. The man's he's a walking, talking public endangerment.
I have been, Yeah, I think though. I don't think, and I hope you're wrong, and I hope I'm right about this. I don't think we're going to see. I mean, you'll see isolated incidents of violence, sure, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of that. And I have to say, Dr. Kevin, and I'm curious if you agree on this. One silver lining about this that I think is actually really good is I've just been almost pleasantly surprised. I mean, definitely pleasantly by the way that the country overall. I mean, yeah, you've got nuts and you've got wackos and people who think it's a conspiracy and all that, but overall in the macro, I think we've done very well, and I'm really glad. I feel like the overall vibe in the country right now is and continues to be, no matter how bad it gets, I feel like the overall vibe is, wow, this really, really, really sucks, and it's really scary, and it's awful, but we're going to get through it. We are going to get through it. I really feel like that's kind of the general vibe, and I think that people overall, they're being positive about it. They're being optimistic about it. You know, you see incredible stories about people helping each other and people looking out for each other far more than there are negative stories about people, you know, some guy shooting somebody or whatnot. You know, there's so many positive stories, and I think it's really brought out the best in a lot of people. So, and I feel good about that. You know, there hasn't been any like rioting and looting breaking out, because history tells us very often that's the reaction that people have when they feel powerless. When something is out of their control, they start rioting and looting, and which is bizarre. It doesn't make any sense or accomplish anything, but we haven't seen anything even approaching that. Everybody's very chill. Well, not literally everybody. Again, there are exceptions, but I'm talking broadly. Overall, and people are just like, wow, this is awful. The economy's going into the toilet. This is terrible. But we are going to get through it. And I think that's great. I feel good about the country for that reason.
So I am at a mixed bag place, and I'm going to tell you why. So on one hand, and there is our break, and we will be back.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
911, what is your emergency?
My kid shot himself.
All right, where's the wound, sir?
911, what's your emergency?
Please help. My son shot his brother.
911, what is your emergency? Okay.
911, please state your emergency.
Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns.
It wasn't locked.
Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the last segment of the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTime. And remember, we are a live call-in show, and you can call us in at 202-570-7057. And we are here, as always, with Matt Connarton, always on the first Thursday of every month, pretty much, with Matt Connarton from Matt Connarton Unleashed. So I think that one of the things I want to talk about, you asked, I think that we are seeing both the best, some of the best sides of man, and I think that we are far from the fact that we are going to see some of the worst sides of man before it's done as well. I think that we are looking as this spreads, and unfortunately, and I don't try to be a negative doomsayer, stuff like this, and I want to be positive, and I want to keep a positive attitude, and I want to keep want the best, and I'm going to switch this whole conversation into some of the things I'm dealing with the COVID thing in just a minute to help with what I'm talking about. But I think as this hits more rural places where sometimes you don't have hospitals for 50 miles, if you hit places where there's more poverty, where there's lower education level, where there is less access to service and information and support, where it may do more damage because there's more overall health issues. And one of the things I don't hear anybody talking about that I think is one of the highly susceptible classes in this country to end up watching it be fatal are all these kids that have been vaping, because this thing just kills your respiratory system, your lungs. And so if you're a vapor or even a smoker, but vaping, I think they're actually showing as worse, and you get exposed to this, oh, yeah, you're going to see the numbers. So you're going to see a whole new class of vulnerable, who's being considered vulnerable for this thing. And so, but I think that we also are more or less having it in areas where, yes, they're falling behind, and yes, there are definitely some of the things present, but I think that you also have more services, and you have more somewhat calming voices, and you have more things going on. And so I'm not sure. But we have been seeing some of the best of people in this. But I don't think that we're over from seeing some of the worst of people. And, this rise in Asian American violence, the guy that just shot in a Costco or something in Arizona. This guy, shot this young Asian couple and their 2 kids, killed them because he thought they were bringing the coronavirus to him.
Oh, wow.
That Asian flu.
Yeah. I think Trump is, he finally stopped that, didn't he, though? Didn't he stop calling it the Chinese virus?
I won't listen to him.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I know.
I don't
I
have
know.
a strong enough. I don't have a strong enough stomach.
Yeah.
I listen to Fauci.
Dr. Birx.
So, I will get my information where I can, but I won't listen to him. First of all, you can't trust the damn thing that comes out of his mouth. And
Agreed.
I'm not going to listen to him do this as a do you see how good my numbers are? Better than The Bachelor. Yeah, I can't. I literally can't I would seriously throw up if I listened to the man right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is, but no, Matt, I think it's far from over. I think we're going to see as it moves out. Now, do I make sense when I say my reasoning behind why I think this? Or do you think I'm just being a downer, a pessimist?
No, I think it's reasonable to think that and say that. I just, I'm trying to look on the sunny side of life, Dr. Kevin, because, what else do we have?
So I've moved a lot of my classes online.
Yeah.
And I started my first class, went online last night, called Surviving in a Toxic World. And it gives a lot of it, we're doing it right now, and we're probably going to put it out so people can choose to take the class after the fact that it was live. We did the live class last night, and I'll either do it live again, because it's been a while since I've done online classes, and the technology was all new and different, and there's always a little bit of a scale up to get really into doing things in a new and different way. Though I have done online classes, I got several online classes out there. But Surviving in a Toxic World, and it talks about how the viruses of the mind and the heart and the spirit contribute to the susceptibility of the body to get a virus and the damage it can done. And I also talk about the viruses in humanity right now, and that we have to refuse to catch them. One of the viruses of humanity is this bigotry that leads somebody to shoot 4 American Asians.
Right.
This is a humanity virus, but we need to name it. We need to talk about it. We need to be out there, and we need to try to be making reasonable thoughts that maybe will just help with somebody that's good, that's getting ready to lose it and be irrational because they're in fear, and it's the fear of the unknown. And where do they come from? Who can I trust? And all of these things that, the human psyche is frail. And it doesn't take a lot sometimes to decompress it, depending on how strong it was to start with. And again, I'm not trying to be a downer. I want to be a realist here, which is one of the reasons I put my classes online. I mean, I figured out pretty quickly I'm an essential service because my business is crazy busy.
Good.
And, and I don't have to put classes online. I'm putting classes online because, yes, I'll make money off them. People pay to take my classes. But I'm not doing it so I can make my mortgage. My client practice keeps me plenty busy, but I want to get the information out there. I want to get the knowledge out there.
Right.
And I have started in what I call it, I got a very strong message to do an energetic potluck. And every morning, 90 minutes before the sunrise, I create an energetic space. And I ask anybody who wants to put in any kind of healing that they do, prayers, whatever. The only requirement is that it is for the betterment of the planet and humanity. No individual people, no individual agendas, no judgment, just whatever is in the highest and best good of the planet and humanity. I do this every morning. I'm doing it every morning from now until solstice. So right now it's around 5 in the morning. And it's not on, I promoted it online to get as many healers involved as possible, but I am not doing it online. No one has to get out of bed. A lot of people have healing modalities. They could even program it to show up.
Yeah.
And then the energy gets released with the rising sun, on the East Coast, because that's where I am, but I was told to do it. And I'm getting ready to release something else called Dr. Kevin's Spiritual Power Hour, where I'm gonna as many days of the week do 1 hour, and it's gonna open with a meditation, and it's gonna talk about some kind of spiritual subject or inspiration or motivation, and I'll take some questions for anybody that shows up for it, and then I'm going to end it with a healing meditation. And and I'm asking for $10 to cover costs and technology and all of that stuff. I want people to have a place to go. I mean, one of the people that attended last night, reached out and told me that I helped ground her and make her feel better in these uncertain times. And I think that we have a responsibility to be practical, pragmatic, spiritual, and kind, not airy-fairy, and we need to keep the message strong, and we need to be willing to assign accountability. And, when I was talking about the viruses of the spirit, the viruses of humanity, and these hate-based religions are right at the top of my list. And that are out there and are so arrogant. I mean, you're still getting 1,000 people together.
Oh, I know. Oh.
I mean, this doesn't just affect those 1,000 people. This affects 10,000 people in your area.
Exactly. It's incredibly selfish what they do.
Yeah, it's incredibly selfish, and it's got to be called out. Not to be mean, but to try to raise the level of ignorance. But again, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be offering. I don't know if I'll be able to do it every day or not, but as many days as I can, I'm going to be offering the Spiritual Power Hour. And because I have clients all over, all over the world, I'm going to be offering it different times during the day, every day, so that one day I'll offer it at 7 a.m. and catch clients maybe in Europe that I have, and one day I'll offer it at 9 o'clock at night, and then people can always go and just do it whenever they want. They can always go do it afterwards if they don't do it live, and they can still do the meditation and do stuff like that. But those of us that are out there trying to do good things in the world, we can't quarantine in a crawl into our corner and talk to our angels and cover our head till it passes. We can quarantine that we're not going to physically go and fit 1,000 people into a room and give them a little handkerchief and tell them that God bless the handkerchief so they don't have to worry about COVID. Well, they drop like flies. If we would just only kill the stupid. But those of us that are out there doing things in the world, or like this, trying to bring light, love, healing, trying to bring inspiration, motivation, we have to be on the front lines. We are an essential service. Giving people something, but it can't be something pretend. Oh, we'll be open by Easter. The churches will be full. No, that doesn't do anybody any good.
Nope.
It's got to be realistic. Early on, when this was just barely hitting Washington, and I would have clients that would ask me and they'd say, what do you think about this? And I'm going, we are all going to know people who have died before it's over.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm up to 5 or 6 now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But,
no kidding.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Now, none of them were in my inner circle. None of them were close to me, but these were people I shared a stage with or a dais with or belonged into a group with, people that I,
okay.
Yeah. No. And if we ask around, we'll probably, you remember so-and-so, you met him there? Yeah, they got COVID and died. And then, of course, we all feel like that little loss when somebody's famous gets COVID and died, because we all feel like sometimes like we know the famous person, even though we really don't.
Right.
So I do have a question for you, Matthew. Did you get a copy of my newsletter that came out this last week?
I don't recall seeing it.
Okay. Because it came out almost a week. It came out last Friday. So I'm going to ask you and all the listeners, if you would like to get, I'm putting out a monthly newsletter with a video message, with links to all my online classes and the things I do. Go to My Dr. Kevin. And I'm going to ask you to do that, Matt, and I'll privately forward you a copy of it because I'd like you to get your feedback on it always.
Cool. Yeah.
But go to mydrkevin.com and sign up, and you can get one of the 3 free ebooks. If you want to download for signing up, it's there. But I'm starting my newsletter again so that I can go out there and hopefully give hope and inspiration and inspire and knowledge to people.
Excellent. Well, we need it.
So Matt, let's coordinate a time for me to quote unquote come on your show next week.
Absolutely. That would be great. We'll make that happen. Definitely.
Okay. Give my best to Jenny.
I will. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
And we'll talk to you